What is up, guys? Happy 2025. I know it's not 2025 yet in most places. It's only 9 o'clock here. I don't give a shit. We're just going to still say it's happy 2025. We're just going to say happy fucking 2025. Bye-bye 2024. Scoot your ass on out of here. Go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. All right. So I haven't got to look at a lot of these questions yet. So we're going to go through some of these questions. But what are you guys doing for New Year's? What did you do? What did you eat? Kirst and I made this. So you know how earlier when I was on my live, I said, hey, let's do veggie kebabs today. Yeah. So I got everything for veggie kebabs, but not the stick. So no kebabs, but I'm proud of this. I'm going to show you guys. Okay, I'm proud of this. And it's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. It's not even funny. Now, this is before it went in the oven. There's like squash and zucchini and tomatoes and onions and garlic and potatoes and capers and oh, it was so good. It was so good. It was so good. So yeah, I may have ate a lot before I came up here, but we're going to get right into answering some of these questions for you guys. A whole bunch of you guys went on and sent some questions in, and I love it. I love it. So for the very last episode of the Bodhiverse for 2024, we're going to answer some questions, and I'm going to start with Cassandra McKimmy, because this is the easiest question of all. Okay. Will this be the year for my witch side to come out? Yeah. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Like 2025 will be so much better than 2024, because 2024 was dumb. Anybody else? Thank you, George. Anybody else feel like 2023 and 2024 were like the same year? Like it was just like a mashed potato of 2 years? Or is it just me? Because I was looking at some stuff like reports and, boring ass shit like that for 2024. And I swear to God, it was the same year. It was the same year. It was the same fucking year. Same year. But Cassandra, ma'am, yes. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? See? Tosh said, come to the witchy side. We have parties and burn things. And we eat a lot. Because it's fun. Because it's fun. All right, let's see here. Oh, I knew that was coming. Do you want to know why I knew that was coming? Because these things right here are of the devil. Chocolate covered almonds. The devil. Ooh. So David Jones asked, do you work with one deity or with several? And that's all personal preference. It is all personal preference. I know people that work with one. That's it. They've worked with that one forever. They won't ever work with another one. And then I know people that have like all of them. They work with like literally all of them. I know people that do not work with a deity. There is a whole... I am so sorry, Rena. There is a whole school of thought, school of witchery, of practice, that you are the deity, that you are the god or the goddess, that you are the divine energy. And in that's more of like a quantum practice, quantum healing practice. You are the deity. So, yeah. So the short answer of that is... it's all personal preference. It's all personal preference. I have found that deities tend to come in or out when you need them. In my personal practice, they come in or out. How do I plan to start 2025? Miss Eunice Chase. How do I plan to start 2025? I'm kind of glad you asked, Miss Eunice. I have it on my schedule that I'm doing cord cuttings tomorrow and then a live tomorrow night. And by the way, I am so sorry that my phone died today while I was doing cord cuttings. I was really, really not happy with myself. Thank you, Miss Norma. I was not super happy with myself. But I realized today that I work every holiday. I work every holiday. Every single fucking one. I didn't work on Yule. I took the day off, spent it with my family. But since 2021, I have been live every holiday. Every holiday. And while I will be live tomorrow, finishing up some cord cuttings, I am going to move tomorrow night's live to the weekend, because I have really got off balance with my work balance. I almost said work, social life, personal balance, but I don't really have a personal balance. I don't. I realized I have a friend that I've known since 7th grade. And she works for a radio station here in town in marketing. And so she's always like, hey, do you want to go to this concert with me? Do you want to go to this concert? I've got free tickets. Do you want to go? Do you want to go? And some of them I would really, really like to go to. And I can't, because I got a live schedule. And so I realized that my work schedule, I have no personal life. And so how I'm going to start my 2025 is to take the evening off. And then I'm going to be better with making my schedule. So I am not working every single fucking night, because I cannot do it anymore. I just can't. You know what I mean? I just can't. I love being on for holidays, and please don't take that as I'm never going to be on a holiday, because I am. You know I am. But I like being on the holidays because I know there are so many people that don't have anyone. Thank you. I know there are so many people that don't have anyone. And I hate that. But also, I mean, I do have kiddos, and yeah. So that's how I plan to start my 2025, is figuring out what a social life is. I think I used to have one. What do I think 2025 will bring us? So let's chat, because Sass and I were sending some things back and forth. And let me find it, because we were laughing at some shit. Okay, you ready? Because I sent this to Sass because we were talking about numerology and all kinds of shit and stuff earlier. Let's talk about what 25 means. In spirituality, the number 25 is often associated with new beginnings, personal growth, significant change, and a readiness to embrace spiritual responsibility. If you just Google spiritual meaning of the number 25, that's what you get. And I'm going to read that again. I'm going to listen to it. Listen and let it sink in. In spirituality, the number 25 is often associated with new beginnings, personal growth, significant change, and a readiness to embrace spiritual responsibility. It is also the quarter-century milestone. Combines the energies of the number 2, which is partnership and harmony, and the number 5, which is adventure and change, making it a symbol of transformation and progress while maintaining balance. In my opinion, 2025 is going to be a fantastic year. I almost feel like, because I know that we all got shell shock with 2024. Like, it was something, I swear, at the beginning of the year, like up until June, July, it was something maybe like every week, right? Every couple weeks, every week and a half. And then it got to every week. And then it swiftly went to like every other day, until it was like every fucking day. And it wasn't just something little. Right? Like, hey, the Jolly Green Giant is actually purple. Okay, that's a big thing. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't something little. It was this big, massive, life-changing, historical shit on a daily basis in 2025. or 2024. It was always fucking something. It was always something. Now, do I think that 2025 is going to be this like smooth skate year? No, I don't. I don't think that we'll ever really have a smooth skate year. And really, if you look at history, there's never been a smooth skate year. Like there just hasn't. But I've been really watching. I started watching the news again. I kind of did anyway. I'm not going to lie. I kind of did anyway. Not a crazy amount though. I used to live with somebody that had Fox News on 24 hours a day. Like if he was awake, Fox News was on. You want to talk about insane in the membrane. And during COVID, I quit watching all of it. I just quit. But I have been watching a little bit lately and I've been paying attention to things. And while there are some very serious changes going on in the world, there are also some interesting things going on in the world. Am I as terrified of 2025 as I was in early November? No, I'm not. I'm not. Early November, I was terrified of 2025. I was terrified of 2025. Completely terrified. Not so much now. I'm actually really, really excited for 2025. I'm really, really excited for 2025. I'm stoked. I'm excited for 2025. So I think 2025 is going to bring us more crazy shit because I don't think we can get out of it now. So yeah, it's going to bring us more crazy shit. But I do 100% think that it's going to be a much better year. I really do. I really do. Let's see. Lori T. Will my path I am on be one of happiness and prosperity in this upcoming 2025? So I don't want to answer too many personal questions because that moves into more of a reading aspect. And these are mainly questions about the universe or whatever. But I am going to say this because I feel like this is what you need to hear. 2025 will be what you make it. Okay? 2025 will be what you make it. And I want you to really let that sink in for a minute. Let that really sink in for a minute. It will be what you make it. So if you, and I want you guys to really think about what you're going to do tomorrow. Okay? Some of you guys have to work. I have to work. I get it. But what are you going to do tomorrow night? What are you going to do for the first night of 2025? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? There's an old superstition that you don't clean on the very first day of the year. My grandparents always used to have black-eyed peas. I hate black-eyed peas. I'm not doing it. So I will not be partaking in that. I never did. But 2025 will be what you make it. So really, really think hardcore about what it is that you're doing tomorrow. Myself, today after I got off the live earlier, I took a very long, hot steam bath, a ritual bath. And I did something that I don't normally do unless I am doing a cord cutting for myself. I didn't, but unless I'm doing a cord cutting for myself or there's something major I'm letting go of. And I want you guys to think about this. Now, I know some of you guys only have showers, okay? But I usually when I'm ready to get out of the bath, I pull the stopper and then I get out. This time I sat there until all the water left the fucking bathtub. All of it. And it sucked. And it was cold. But while that was happening, you can feel the water pull. You know what I mean? You can feel the water pull and you can feel yourself get a little heavier, because you're not floating in the water. So you can feel the water pull. And as I felt that pull of the water going down the drain, I let it take every goddamn thing in 2024 that held me back. I let it take every fucking bit of it down the drain. All of it down the drain. You can do the same thing in the shower. You can do the same thing in the shower. Stand there and watch the last of the water go down the drain. Tomorrow, when I get up, I will take a ritual shower, ritual bath, to bring in the blessings, to bring in prosperity. Okay? Because I'm leaving 2024 in fucking 2024. So if you guys, what I was just talking about with the bath, with the shower or whatever, do it tonight. Do it before it turns 2025. Okay? But I will be taking, when I get up, one of the first things I do in the morning will be to take a ritual bath or shower. I don't know which one I'm going to do yet. And I'll probably take a bath, because I will do an herbal ritual bath, and I will have herbs in there for what I'm bringing in 2025. You know what I mean? Okay, that's funny. I'm leaving 2024 and 2023. Yeah, because they were like the same fucking year. So that's what I would recommend. So Miss Nancy Smith is the next question. With everything going on, are there more family members on the other side watching over the adults, or the kids, young adults, keeping them safe? Or has that not changed because they know we're more aware of the mess going on? For example, would my uncle hang out by his grandchildren or visit any family member that would notice his presence? Okay. The answer to that is yes on both fronts. Okay? Here's why. When you cross over, you're no longer tied to a meat sack, and you're no longer tied to the constraints of time, of this timeline, of any other timeline. You're no longer tied to those constraints. So you can simultaneously be with a grandkid. Say you've got a grandkid here on Earth, still in a meat sack here on Earth, and they need some guidance. They need your help. You can simultaneously be with that grandkid and also with your wife, your husband, your daughter, your mom, whoever has passed away and is up there with you. You see what I'm saying? So simultaneously, it's at the same time. In a way, you could call that quantum entanglement, because part of your DNA resides now in both, because you had to have had a child who had a child to make a grandkid. Your DNA lives in that grandkid. But you also have DNA now on the other side in mom, grandma, grandpa, quadruple, triple, great grandma, whatever you want to do. So all of those particles are the same particles. Does that make sense? We here on Earth in our meat sack are tied to specific constraints as far as our meat sack goes. For example, you obviously can't pull your arm off. A, it's impossible for you to pull your own arm off. And B, it's not like you can just stick it right back on like you're a fucking Barbie doll. In a meat sack, it's physically impossible for you to go, for you right now to fly, just to be like, I'm going to fly and go, right? However, on the other side, when you're simply your soul, you can kind of do whatever the fuck you want. If y'all have never watched The Good Place, there's a part where they're explaining what time looks like. Time is not linear. Time is like one of the Tesla coil, the little electric balls at the top that were real cool in Spencer's in the 80s and 90s. You could touch them and electricity would come touch your fingers and so on. Except it's a big, huge tube. It's a big, huge, massive thing. And time just goes wherever it wants. And so what I love is in The Good Place, they're explaining that time looks like, what I meant was a relative acknowledges spirits versus just watching, protecting the kids. I guess I'm not understanding. Let me finish my thought and then let me look at it again. Time goes however you want it to go. It's in The Good Place, they say that it's like the cursive name Jeremy Baramy. And if y'all have not watched that, it is like my favorite thing. It's so fucking funny. It's so fucking funny. Go watch it. Go watch it. But time goes every which way. Time goes every which way. I love the part where he's like, you know, where time loops back on itself, because obviously in a J, it goes like that. And they're like, well, how does it do this? And then I love, one of the guys says, well, what's this? What's this dot right here? The dot over the I. And he says, oh, that is sometimes not never. And then he says, and also Tuesdays. And it cracks me up. It cracks me up. It's my favorite. It's my favorite. It's my favorite. So yeah. Paige asked, putting your name in salt water. Can you explain that, please? No, because I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that. I mean, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but it's not something that I know about. I also was not raised anywhere by saltwater, so that could be why. But yeah, I've never heard of that. So I take things that I see on social media. Okay. Now let me preempt this by saying I don't know everything. I don't know everything. I've read a fuck ton of books. I've written a fuck ton of books. I've been around the spiritual block way too many times, but so just because I haven't heard of something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that. Now, there are a lot of Celtic practices and a lot of Native American practices of using water to carry things away, to like certain waters symbolize certain things. So yeah, I mean, I could see where that could easily be a thing. Salt is a connection to the divine. It's also very cleansing. Like I could totally see that. But yeah, it's not something that I have ever heard of or I'm familiar with. So I am not a good person to speak about it because I don't know. I don't know. And Paige's other question is, I just saw a TikTok that said no cleaning on the first of the year or you're cleaning all your luck away. Why is that? That is an old Celtic superstition. It is an old Celtic superstition. It came over here in the US. I mean, I guess when the Celts came over, when the settlers came over, whatever. And it just kind of stuck. It just kind of stuck. Like I was taught that as a kid. Like you do not clean anything on New Year's. You can clean on New Year's Eve. You can clean on the 2nd of January, but you don't clean anything at all on New Year's. And as much as it's going to drive me up the wall to have dirty dishes in the sink tomorrow or something like that, like I'm not going to. It's just a superstition. That you're cleaning away any good energy, any good vibes, any good intentions. So yeah, no sweeping, but is vacuuming the same? Yeah. No laundry, nothing. Like the only thing I will clean up is that I have 2 older dogs and they don't always hold it. I'm just saying, they don't always hold it. You know what I mean? So yeah. Unless if somebody has booked you to clean their house on the 1st, I mean, they deserve what they get. They deserve what they get. I'm just going to say they deserve what they get. So yeah, cleaning yourself is different. What about if the robot does it? Oh my God, y'all stop it. You are so funny. All right. So Richard asked, do you have a mantra or phrase you recite to yourself when overwhelming anxiety or stress lands on you? Yeah. Do you really want to hear it? It's bitch, you're fine. Bitch, you're fine. Bitch, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Bitch, you're fine. Yeah. That's what I say to myself. Bitch, you're fine. And then eventually in there, I remind myself, take a deep breath, take a deep breath, take a deep breath. But yeah, it's bitch, you're fine. You're fine. I know that's not a great mantra, but I'm going to tell you why I use that mantra. It A, makes me giggle. Okay. But B, in 2021, in 2021, for those of you guys that don't know, if you're new to following me, I have the hiccups and I apologize. In 2021, I got the Pfizer shot in October. I got the first one. And then a week later, and I had heart problems all weekend. A week later, I went to Colorado and was at an event and then went straight up to the top of Pikes Peak. Had a really serious event at the top of Pikes Peak. Didn't really tell anybody because the person I was with didn't give a fuck. I told her and she was like, you're fine. So I drove down Pikes Peak because she wouldn't drive. I drove all the way down through New Mexico and everything. Had another event in New Mexico. Drove home. And the entire time in my head, I was repeating, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay, breathe. You're okay, you're okay, you're okay. Like I was just over that over and over. You're okay, just breathe, you're okay. And I really fell back on all of my breathing techniques, all of the breathing classes that I've taken, all of those classes to center myself. And I really believe that and aspirin saved my life. So in December, I had another couple episodes in November, but I was like, you know what? You're fine. It's okay. You're fine. Well, in December, on the 1st of December in 2021, I was actually at an event in Oklahoma City and I got really sick, really sick. I was fine the day before. I was fine that night. I was fine when I got up that morning. And I got really sick. Like I shit my soul out sick. And I'm in the bathroom and my kid Kay was with me. Thankfully, I had 2 other ladies there helping me. And I had a wrist cuff like for blood pressure because I noticed my blood pressure had been high. And so I had a wrist cuff and I had it in my purse, thankfully. So I was in the bathroom and I checked it and my blood pressure was sky fucking high. It was like 190 over 170. And I was shaking uncontrollably. I was so nauseated. And so Kay was in there with me. Like just talking about it makes my belly flop. Kay was in there with me. I was like, hey, you need to go get April. I need her in here right now. So Kay immediately, April was outside. So she came in and I was like, I need you to call 911. I need you to call 911 like right now. They got there really quickly. It's really fun to be in a public bathroom where you can't get up. So April helped me get off the toilet and the firefighters came in and got me out, ushered me to an area. They were pulling my fucking shirt up, putting stuff everywhere. And they were very, very respectful with it. They were just trying to hurry, but they were very respectful with it. And they formed like a wall around me so people couldn't see because I'm at an event. I'm at a convention. If you don't think that everybody and their dog was looking, you're wrong. Okay. So they get me in the ambulance and I'm shaking like this. I'm trying not to throw up. Like they gave me some medicine. They're checking my blood pressure is still really high. Well, while I was in the bathroom, I had taken a big aspirin when I first got in there because I saw my blood pressure going up. So I took an aspirin. I am going somewhere with this, I promise. I took a big aspirin. And then I also, because I have some weird heart issues, I have a prescription for nitroglycerin. And so I had nitroglycerin on me. So I took a nitro. And I told them that in the ambulance. And the guy said, as soon as I told him that, he looked at me and he goes, you probably saved your own life by doing that. And I was like, well, don't feel like it right now. Like I'm that jokey person. Like if I get quiet, like it's really bad. Right. So I'm trying to joke, but I get to the hospital and they have a stroke team waiting on me. And so they're pulling my nose rings out. Like they're pulling every bit of metal off me. They shove me in the fucking CT scan. I'm shaking uncontrollably. they give me everything they can to calm me down. They get me in a room. Like my kid comes in there, is sitting with me, and the hottest neurologist I've ever seen in my life, oh my God, comes in, right? And I mean, you want to talk like Grey's Anatomy, like tall, dark, and handsome, the dark hair and the light. Oh my God, dude was hot. Anyway, I digress. So he comes in and he sits down and he's like, okay, I'm going over your stuff. He's like, so the thing is, you're not actively having a stroke right now. He said, but I can see on your CT scan where there has been an event. And here's what he told me. He said, because it was a mini stroke, there was no way to measure the damage until a little bit later. Like it's so weird. I guess like when it happens, they don't know what the damage is going to be. Does that make sense? And I get that. So it's just like if you had a heart attack, you don't know in that moment what the damage is until later, right? So I'm like, okay, I understand that. And he told me again, he said, the EMT told me that you had taken a full aspirin and a nitro. And he said, you probably saved your own life. He said, you probably saved yourself from having a full stroke. So they got me calmed down. They got my blood pressure down and they sent me home. So I got the 2-hour ride home in the car. So that was great. But then on Christmas Eve, I had the same event. I had another event. And when I had this other event, same thing. My blood pressure was skyrocketing and I was like, oh my God. And so I was trying not to panic because I already had that PTSD from getting hauled in, right? So I waited a little bit and then I started shaking uncontrollably. I took an aspirin and I took a nitro. And so I ended up having to have my son, Brody, take me to the emergency room. The whole time, I'm like, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. Just taking deep breaths over and over and over, taking deep breaths over and over, and just repeating in my head, you're okay. You're fine. You're fine. You're okay. You're fine. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. And I just kept repeating that in my head and taking these big, deep breaths. So I get to the emergency room, and this right here is why people hate going to the emergency room. Some people love it because they're just going for attention, or they're just going for drugs, or they're just going for whatever. But the people that actually are going for reasons that they need help. So I go in, they get me calmed down, right? They get me in a room, and the doctor comes in, and they did a CAT scan like immediately to make sure everything was okay, right? They ran all the heart enzymes. My blood pressure was really high. And the doctor comes in and he's literally looking at the notes, right? And he says, you're just having an anxiety attack. And I was like, so I just had a mini stroke on the 1st of December. And he's like, well, I don't see that in your records. And I'm like, because it was in Oklahoma City. And I even grabbed that paperwork and brought it with me. He didn't want to look at it. He said, you're just having an anxiety attack. And he was like, he basically told me I should think about going to counseling. See, my stomach's getting upset just talking about it. He's like, you should think about going to therapy. And I was like, are you shitting me? Are you shitting me? So we get home and I'm resting throughout January, including my birthday in 2022. I had episode after episode after episode after episode. And I did not want to go to the fucking emergency room because I knew exactly what was going to happen. So I would sit and I would do some mudras and I would center myself and I would breathe and I would tell myself, you're okay. You're okay. And I would actively sit and take the biggest breath I could, hold it, and take the biggest breath out. And I would chew a baby aspirin if I need to, whatever. And so I lived like that for months, unfortunately. I lived like that for months because I was so terrified to go to the fucking doctor. And at this time, I was also waiting to get into a neurologist because you have to be on a wait list to get into any kind of specialist because insurance is stupid. So I'm waiting on this list to get into a neurologist. So in, I want to say early June, I have another episode in 2022. And this time I go back to the emergency room and I am shaking uncontrollably. I was having little seizure after little seizure, like seizure, like it was bad. One of the nurses argued with me that I didn't have epilepsy. I'm like, it's in my, like, it's in my chart. It's been in my chart for like 10 years. Like, it's in what, and she refused to do anything to help me. And so the other nurse was like, I'm going to go get, I think, some Ativan, I think is what it was. Something like that, started with an A. And the other girl was like, don't you dare. Like, she argued with her. And the girl went and got it anyway and gave it to me. Almost instantly, of course, calmed me down. And of course, I'm like, ready to sleep. The other girl got pissed and left. So I finally get into a room. Okay. They get me in, have another CAT scan. I finally get into a room, not even a bed. They just wheel me in there in a wheelchair. There's not even a bed in there. The same goddamn doctor comes in. The same one. He is holding my chart down at his side. He doesn't even look at it. And he says, he gets down in front of me like I'm 5, kneels in front of me, and he pats my leg and he says, I think maybe it's time to think about going to counseling. He was like, your stress is through the roof. And, I do want you to think about it because therapy is tough. Motherfucker, if they had not given me that goddamn Ativan, I would have kicked his fucking teeth in. I was so mad. And what's even worse, the girl, my friend that was with me that took me there was a fucking counselor. She's a fucking trauma counselor. She works with people that have severe traumas, that have addictions. Like that's what she does. And so I watch her jaw audibly go like Wile E. Coyote style all the way to the floor. And I just looked over at her and I was like, I want to go home. I want to go home. So a week later, I have an appointment with this new neurologist. Okay. And let me just say, he was worth the wait. And I really love him. He's fucking fantastic. I love him. So I'm sitting in his office. This is my first time seeing him. He's looking through my chart. First thing he goes, oh, you've had a mini stroke. He's like, you've had a couple. I was like, I have? And he goes, yeah. He's like, it's literally right here. Both times I went to the emergency room, both on Christmas Eve and again in June when they ran the CAT scans, it not only showed the damage in the back of my brain back here, but it also showed where I had another one. We're on the very first page, and it was even underlined. So the radiologist, the person that did the CAT scan, even underlined the goddamn sentence. And this motherfucker still told me I was having an anxiety attack. So right then and there, I was like, you know what? Fuck you. Fuck you. So I came home. I pulled out all my witchy shit. I made myself some tea to start lowering my blood pressure. I drank it every day for a year and a half. And I started meditating really hardcore. And I came up with that bitch, you're fine mantra. Bitch, you're fine. Bitch, you're fine. Bitch, you're fine. Sometimes I throw in there, bitch, you're a badass. Bitch, you already survived a stroke. Bitch, you're fine. But don't think that anytime I get stressed out and I can feel my blood pressure go up a little bit, or anytime I get a little dizzy, or anytime I get a symptom that is kind of like that I don't internally freak out a little bit. Okay? So that's where that mantra came from. It's not just me being funny. That was one of the only things that I could think to repeat to myself during that time. It's one of the only things I could think of was, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. So that morphed into, you're fine. You're fine. You're okay. You're fine. You're okay. Which morphed into, you're fine. Which morphed into, bitch, you're fine. Bitch, you're fine. So that's my mantra, is bitch, you're fine. Bitch, you're fine. And it's not the best mantra, but It has helped me a lot. It has helped me a lot. So that's why I was like, let me tell you the story though. Because it was a horrible experience. It was a horrible experience. Yeah. Yeah. It was a horrible experience. It was. And here's the thing. When I went to the neurologist and he saw that I had that in my chart and everything, he asked me if I had filed a complaint. And I said, no, I haven't, so I try to go to the same hospital because both my heart doctor and my neurologist, you know how you have like the hospital and then you'll have like these little extra buildings right there. So my heart doctor is actually in the hospital. He's on the heart floor. His offices are in the hospital, and my neurologist is like attached right there. So there's like a covered parking lot, and he's in that building. So I try to stay in that network because all my files are there. All my specialists are there. You know what I mean? Thank you. And so he asked if I had filed a complaint, and I said no, because I was worried about backlash, to be honest. If I ever have to go again and I have to see that particular guy, I don't want him to be like, oh, you're the bitch that filed a complaint, So my neurologist did it for me. That's why I love him. He did it for me. Dr. Jeremy Salas here in Tulsa. He is one of the top epilepsy specialists and migraine specialists in Tulsa. He's really kind of soft-spoken, really interesting. I don't think I have been able to make him laugh or smile yet, but I really like him. And he's really fantastic, and he filed a complaint for me. I also really love my cardiologist. He is Dr. See if I can say it right. Zanial, Zanial Hussein, and he is a cardiologist with St. John's here in Tulsa. He actually called the insurance company 3 times for me. So I love those 2 doctors. I love them. So yeah. All right, enough about me. Shannon O'Malley asked, egg cleansing. I want to know how you do it because I was on YouTube, came across 2 people who do it slightly differently. I don't want to do it without knowing your way or thoughts against eggs cleansing. Here's how I was taught to do it. And let me preempt this by saying there is really no right or wrong way. Like there really isn't any right or wrong way. I have seen it done so many different ways, but it's all basically the same technique. It's literally basically the same technique. And I have met people from all over the world, and it's kind of done all over the world. Okay. So first of all, if you see someone here on fucking TikTok that is like, it's cultural appropriation, it is not. It is not. I know people in Scandinavia. Ali is from Ecuador. They do it there. Like I know people all over the fucking world. Like I know other people all over the fucking world. So it kind of cracks me up. I'm like, fucking stop with that. Shove it up your ass. Here's how I was taught to do it. And it is, you take an egg, you need to leave it out until it hits room temperature. Don't do it when it's cold because you're going to get a weird read and you're going to think something is really wrong. Okay. So you leave the egg out, you let it get to room temperature, and then you rub it all over yourself as much as possible. You can start wherever you want. You can start at your head. You can start at your feet. On your feet, you definitely want to do the bottom of your feet. Okay, lift your foot up, do the bottom of each foot. Okay, do your palms, do it all over your palms, all over as much as you can reach. If you have someone there with you, you can have them help you, like get your back and all that stuff, because we can't really reach back there. And definitely don't drop the egg. Okay, you gotta start all over. But once you're done, I was taught to pull it here to where your solar plexus is and hold it, cup it, and just kind of channel it, pull everything out into the egg, and then pull it like that, pull it like straight out. Okay. Then you crack it into a clear glass, plastic or glass, doesn't matter, but it needs to be clear without any decoration on the side. Because decoration is going to skew what you're seeing. So you crack it in there. Do not go and look over the glass because you literally are just getting it all back. So let it sit for a minute and then kind of look at it. Reading it is a whole different ball of wax. But depending on what is seen in there, yeah, you have to put it in water. Sorry. Fill a glass with warm water, room temperature water, and then crack the egg in there. Depending on what you see in there, I was taught to dump it down the toilet. So carry it to the toilet without looking over it. You can put a plate over it if you want. Dump it in the toilet. Do not get yourself over it. It's just going to go right back this way. So do not do that. And then flush, like close the lid and flush it. Depending on what I see in there, I may add salt and pepper. I may add a fuck ton of chili. I may add like all kinds of shit. So it just kind of depends. Allie showed me something interesting, how they do it in Ecuador. They rub it all over. And then they rub it on the top of the head. Like, I don't remember how many times, 5 or 6 times. They rub it all over the top of the head. It was really interesting the way she did it. But it's basically the same thing. Just the head thing was new. You know what I mean? Just the head thing was new. So there's really not a right or wrong way to do it. Okay. Add to the glass and then dump all of it in the toilet. You've been told to do it repeatedly till it comes out clear. Do you have to do it repeatedly? I was never taught to do it repeatedly because here's the thing. It may never come out clear. Like I was taught how to read it, how to read all the strings, all the bubbles. Some things aren't bad. Like some things aren't bad. Okay. What was that? Hang on. Savage Queen. What did you ask? Because somebody said, what does it look like when it's bad? Let me see here. I'm trying to think. It's been a while since I've done one. So I can't guarantee I can find one, but I was looking to see if I had one of somebody else's because I have some friends that they'll send theirs to me all the time. Okay, if it's bad, let's just say, I'm going to talk about this while I'm looking through here to see if I can find one. If you have a ton of people that are jealous, that are siphoning off of you, that are trying to, like, they're not doing anything to you, but they're just trying to siphon your energy, or they're jealous, they're watching you, there'll be a ton of bubbles. Okay. If it's really, really cloudy, oh yeah, definitely way before September. If it's really, really cloudy, then that is when somebody is actively trying to do something to you. I probably just need to put together a video. I know I do have a video on there of how to do an egg cleanse because I don't see one. I don't see one right off the bat. So, yeah, I don't see one right off the bat. But if it's really, really cloudy, if you see a whole bunch of shit, like it literally looks like there's like fog in it, then somebody has actively done something to you. You also, I have seen them where the yolk itself had a blood spot, had a black spot. That is a really serious hex or a curse. Now, that doesn't happen often, okay? Now, I'm not talking about the little white spot because there's almost always a white spot on the yolk where the yolk is attached to the goo, the snotty goo around it. You know what I'm talking about? Like the snotty goo, right? But every now and then I've come across one where there's a black spot or a blood spot. And I was taught that the black spot is an active hex. I was taught that the black spot is an active hex. The blood spot is a curse. Okay. So if you have an egg cleanse that has one of those two things, I would highly, highly recommend reaching out to somebody that knows their shit and that can help you. Okay. That is something that right there, I would be like, okay, pause, time out. I would put a plate over the top of that fucking cup. I would tell everybody in my house, don't goddamn touch it. And I would go find somebody that could help. I saw somebody ask, can we use eggs from our chickens in our yard or chickens that we own? Yes, but make sure there's not a risk that they've been fertilized, because here's the thing. If you get an egg that could have been fertilized and it has been fertilized and you get a blood spot in there, then you're going to take that as a curse, but that's not the thing because it was fertilized. Do you see what I'm saying? So as long as you know damn well that that egg was not fertilized, that there's not a chance it was fertilized, 100% absolutely. Okay. Does that answer your question? And no, you are not supposed to look over the glass. Do not look over the glass. I actually have like a little white saucer just from like fucking Dollar Tree. And whenever I'm carrying mine to the bathroom, I put it over that. So there's no fucking way I'm going to accidentally do it. I don't have a rooster, so none of my eggs have spot. There you go. Yeah. All right. So let's see here. Shannon Chase. Do you see 2025 being better than 2024? Yes. I really feel like this last weekend, we, at the risk of sounding crazy, I feel like we shifted timelines so many fucking times. Like it just, I really feel like we did. So in my opinion, yes, you can do an egg cleanse whenever you want. Doesn't have to be any specific time. You can do it whenever you want. So yeah, I would like for you to, okay. Will a cord cutting take care of someone who's jealous of me and wishes harm on me? If that's what you're doing it for, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, Miss Shannon, you sent that one twice. I was like, wait, what? All right, Miss Della. How would you go about finding out if you're cursed or hexed? Excellent question. It's really, really easy. Okay. Get you a bowl about this big around. You want a pretty good size bowl, not a little tiny one, a pretty good size bowl. Okay. Fill it with water and set it on the counter. Let the water settle to where it's not moving. Then if you burn incense in your house all the time, you'll have those little incense thingies. You know what I'm talking about? You'll have the little incense thingies. So take 2 of those, rub them all over yourself, or you can take 2 matchsticks or 2 toothpicks, whatever you got. You need 2. Rub them all over yourself. Okay. Then hold the first one like this. Here's the water. You want to hold it parallel to the water and then drop it in there. Let it settle because it's gonna do all of this. Okay. Let it come to a stop. And then drop the other one. Now, when you drop the other one, you want to drop it about this far apart, at least this far apart. Okay. You can drop them on opposite sides of the bowl if you want, but just try not to drop them where they land on each other because you kind of just negated anything you were going to do. So try to drop them at least, an inch or 2 apart, and then just watch them. If they move apart, if they never touch, you're good. If one sinks, you're good. If they both sink, you're good. Now, if they just touch like this, that means that someone is actively trying to hex, curse, jinx, whatever. They're actively trying to do something to you. Doesn't mean they have. It means they're trying. Okay? Now, if they cross, then yes, someone has actively done something to you. And then you can go through figuring out how to get it gone. So let me say this, okay? Because I know y'all's next question is going to be, how do I get rid of that? First, before you give anyone money, okay? Cleanse your space, take a ritual bath, and do a banishment return to sender working. Okay? The only thing you really need for that is a white candle. Now, you can go get the fancy candle. You can get a black and red candle. You can get 50 black candles, I don't care. You get as bougie as you want with it. But you know what? If you're a broke ass bitch, I've been there, and all you have is a fucking little white chime candle, or you can go down to the Dollar Tree and you can get a white vigil candle if you want, or a white taper candle. A black is always going to be better, but a white will also work. Okay? Put your intentions into it. Dress around the plate. Let it burn all the way down. Do a lot of things. There are a lot of things you can do yourself, and you should, before you ever reach out to a practitioner, myself included. Because if you reach out to me and you're like, hey, I'm pretty sure that I've been hexed or cursed or jinxed or whatever, I'm going to ask you several questions like, have you done a cleanse? Have you done a return to sender? Have you done a banishment working? Have you done a protection jar? Have you put protections up in your space? Do you see what I'm saying? I'm going to ask you all of these things first, because it's not that I don't want you to give me your money, and it's not that I don't want to help you, but I know how it is to be broke as a motherfucker. Like, I know how it is to be broke as a motherfucker. And I know how it is, because don't think that I don't have some troll accounts and I scroll across the TikTok and I watch these motherfuckers charging like, I came across someone the other day that was charging $700 fucking dollars. And I've heard some horror stories where people are like, okay, y'all have me a little bit longer. So I've heard some horror stories where people start out with, well, it'd only be like a couple $100. And then thousands of goddamn dollars later, they're still having the same fucking problem. So let me say this. I love that Nicole said the nerve of some practitioners. The air quotes is exactly right. Now, let's say that you go into, and I'm going to say it this way on purpose, a legit shop in New Orleans. Let's say you go into Voodoo Authentica in New Orleans. I don't own that shop. I don't know the owner personally, but I know several people that work in there. I love that shop, and they know their shit. So if y'all are ever in New Orleans and you need advice or you need stuff, Voodoo Authentica, it's in the French Quarter. If you were to go in there and you say, hey, I need help. I need this cleanse. Like, what do I do? You know what they're going to do? They're going to say, okay, here's what we recommend. They're going to show you the herbs. They're going to show you they're going to show you the things, and they're going to tell you how to use the things. They're not going to go, well, if you have a credit card and you want to, put like $500 down, we can start there. I cannot roll my fucking eyes at that enough. Be really, really careful who you ask to remove shit from you, because, and I've said this for the last few years, actually, I've said this since I've been on TikTok. There are people that got into practicing and that opened shops and everything else because it's cool on TikTok. Think about that. If you're walking into a shop that is brand new, just opened up, cool. I'm all for new business. Okay. Go visit that new business. Talk to the people there. You can know really quickly if they know what they're talking about or not. It's not hard. Use your fucking gut. And if you're still not sure, go home and research what they told you. Same thing goes for TikTok, myself included. If I'm on here saying something and you're like, I just don't think that's right, Bodhi, go research. Go research. I'll flat tell you I don't know everything. I don't. But one of my talents is protection and banishment. One of my main talents is protection. I have some other talents too that I'm really, really good at, but we're not going to talk about that. Be really careful. Be really careful who you give your money to. You worked really hard for that shit, and you don't need to just give it to anybody. Okay? So be careful when you see people on here that are like, I can remove it for $10. No, you can't. I'm sorry. the ingredients that it takes to remove a hex. Jinxes are pretty easy, okay? But still, okay, let's just start there. The ingredients that it takes to remove a hex. The herbs, the candles, the oils, stones, any of that, okay? In my opinion, at the lowest, you're talking like $20, okay? At the lowest, just for a jinx. Now, with a jinx, you can clear that yourself. That $20 includes my 10 minutes of doing work. You can clear that jinx yourself. You can. Most of the hexes that a lot of these witches do on TikTok is a jinx. It's not a hex. It's a fucking jinx. A hex, though, an actual hex, that's going to take a lot longer. It's going to take a lot more time, depending on the level of the hex, depending on what's going on. And here's the thing. Someone can't just look at you and go, oh, I think you've been hexed by a big red demon with a purple sock. They can't tell that. They can't. I'm going to call shenanigans. There's a lot of work that goes into figuring out what the hex is. There's a lot of work that goes into figuring out what a curse is. Because you may come in and you may go, every time I get in my car, something happens. Like the battery went out. I had an alternator go out. I blew a tire. Like, okay, obviously that's probably a hex or a jinx. Okay. So there's a lot more symptoms of those as well. So you need to sit and talk to that practitioner, and they need to know the right questions to ask you. So if you're talking to this practitioner just on a live stream and they're like, oh, I can remove it for you right now. I believe that you have a jinx on your car and it's a curse. It's a blood curse on your car. I can't. If you cannot meet with that practitioner one-on-one, they cannot remove shit from you. I'm sorry. That's my opinion, but I'm going to say it with my whole chest. You have to talk to that practitioner because they need to know what to ask you. How do they even know what the fuck to use if they don't know what the symptoms are? It would be like you having a doctor do surgery on you from Italy. They're in Italy, doctor's in Italy, and you're in Oklahoma, and they're going to do it long distance. And you've never talked to this doctor. You came into their live stream and they were selling surgeries for $20. And you were like, bitch, yes, I want some fucking surgery. I want a knee surgery for $20. I'm down. Let's do it. You throw them your $20. They don't ever ask you what your symptoms are. They don't ever ask you how long you've had this problem. They don't ask you about your health conditions. They don't ask about anything. I want you to think of it in that way. Like literally that's what you're asking. That's what you're asking. So if you are trying to have anything at all removed from you, then you need to be able to talk to that practitioner. You need to be able to make an appointment and you need to be able to talk to them. And when you talk to them, they should ask you the following. A, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. Okay. Now, here's the thing. When you're talking to this practitioner, here's some practitioner etiquette, some personal appointment practitioner etiquette. One, know that they do have other appointments. Unless they say, hey, you're my last appointment for the day. I've got a little longer. That obviously does not mean to talk to them for 4 hours. I have been fucking held hostage on a Zoom for 2 hours before because I'm too nice to just hang up on somebody. Held goddamn hostage to the point I had to push all my other appointments back. It's happened more than once. Know that that practitioner has other appointments. They have other people. They have other things to do. They don't need an entire rundown of your whole life. If you're talking to them because you believe that someone has put a hex, a curse, some bad juju on you, they want to know What's going on that makes you think that you have a hex, a curse, etc.? And you should be able to tell them this. If you start out with, well, so-and-so on TikTok said that I had a negative attachment, my first reaction is going to try to keep my eyeballs from rolling out of my head. They should ask you a ton of questions. Okay, when did this start? How many times have you had car trouble? Do you see what I'm saying? They should be able to ask you a ton of questions. Be precise, be to the point. And if you are meeting with a practitioner for a removal of some sort or just a consultation, you need to have some notes in front of you. Like, come prepared. This is serious, and this is serious for this practitioner. It better be serious for this practitioner. Come prepared, okay? Have notes, be on time, don't be late. For me, I have a policy, and I have lowered this policy a little bit because I used to wait 15 minutes into a 30-minute appointment for people. No, I no longer do that. I will wait 5-10 minutes. I'll wait 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I'm not going to wait anymore. I have appointment after appointment after appointment after appointment. There are days I have appointments every 30 fucking minutes from 10 a.m. to 6 a.m. with maybe 10 minutes for lunch. It's not that I'm trying to get everybody in and out and in and out. It's that I'm trying to make sure I can help as many people as I possibly can. Okay. So know that that practitioner has other things. This is their job. Okay. This is their job. If you do have to cancel, just let them know ahead of time. Like with me, if you message me, like I had a girl a couple of weeks ago and she was like, hey, I felt so bad for her. And I'm not going to say her name. She was so sweet. Instead of canceling her appointment and asking me to reschedule it, this poor baby was at the hospital with her grandma. She ran all the way outside to get in the call. And she was like, I'm here. And she was like, I'm at the hospital. Baby, we can reschedule. We can reschedule, honey. We can reschedule. But even if you just message me 5 minutes before, cool. I am happy to reschedule. Because you know what? I probably would love to have the fucking break in my day anyway. So I'm happy to reschedule. But just be polite, okay? I want you to think of it like if you are running a business and somebody constantly was standing you up, I did have to put like a no tolerance policy in because I had people that really, really were fucking, it was bad. They'd make an appointment and they'd never show up, right? Oh, I need to reschedule. So I'd reschedule. They'd never show up. Come with notes, come prepared. Okay. But I am going to tell you one more time. I'm going to repeat this. If you come into appointment to have something removed and your very first statement is that so-and-so on TikTok told you that you had an attachment, note that if my camera is off, my eyes are rolling the whole size of my head. Okay. I've watched way too many people on TikTok tell every fucking person in their live that they have an attachment. And you know what? Here's the thing. They're kind of not wrong, but they are. We all have attachments, good and bad. We all have toxic people in our life, and technically that's a negative attachment. If you have an ex, let's say you are married for 10 years and the person you are married to is severely toxic. Maybe they're an alcoholic. Maybe they're an addict of some sort. They're severely narcissistic. That's a toxic motherfucker. That is a really negative toxic attachment. And even if you haven't talked to that person in 3 or 4 years, technically there could still be the attachment there. Maybe you've never cut those cords. There's still the attachment there. Does it mean that they actively have hexed you? Probably not. Does it mean that you need to do a cord cutting and a cleansing and let go of that person? Absolutely. And you can do that yourself. You don't need me to do that for you. So technically, all of us have attachments. We all have positive attachments. We all have negative attachments. An entity attachment, though, you know if you have one. Let me just say that. You don't need anybody, myself included, on TikTok to tell you that you have a negative entity. You know. It's scary as fuck. You know. You don't need anybody to tell you. You know. And let me tell you this. One of the main ways that people get a negative entity attachment is by doing stupid fucking shit and going into a very active place unprotected. That's how they get those. That's how you get some really bad thing following you fucking home. Okay? So technically, we all have attachments, negative and positive and neutral. So these people that are like, oh, you have an attachment. They're telling everybody that they have attachments and they can remove it for so much money or whatever on that live. No, they can't. No, they can't. Shenanigans. All of the fucking malarkey. All of the shenanigans. They can't. Unless you are live with them and they're asking you the questions actively right then when y'all are live together and they're going through this whole thing with you. No. Shenanigans. Shenanigans. Okay? Shenanigans. Be really careful. Just be really, really careful. What's funny is that I watch it ebb and flow. Okay? I've been on TikTok since TikTok was TikTok. I've been on TikTok. And I watch this needle swing, okay? At first, like it'll swing over here to the practitioners that know their shit and they've been doing it a long time. They've been doing it way before social media. Like they're very learned. They have a ton of certifications. They have read umpteen gazillion bazillion books. Like they've written books. Like they know their shit, okay? And then it starts to do this. And it starts to swing to these brand new practitioners that don't know fucking dick from Adam. Yeah, I don't know why I said that, but it sounded great. They don't know dick. And they're telling you to do all this stupid shit that A, makes no sense. And B, there's no basis for it. And C, they're probably just con artists and they want views or they want your money. But it's quick and easy. They're telling you this quick, easy shit you can do. Because here's the thing. When it comes to practice and practitioners, if you really want something, it's not easy, man. It's not easy. If you want prosperity, if you want a better job, if you want a raise, you're going to do some work. You're going to do some workings. And it doesn't happen like that. It'll start to happen really quickly. It'll start to go boop, 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 boop. But you're going to put in a lot of words, a lot of time, a lot of ingredients, a lot of effort. You're going to put in a lot. And some people don't want to do the work. They want the instant gratifications. So you have all these people that are over here that have no idea what they're fucking doing. They're regurgitating some shit that they saw on YouTube 10 years ago, or something they see in an anime, or something that they saw on TikTok. And they're like, I'm going to rip that off, but I'm just going to do this. Man, you can just get a pen and you can just write someone's name and you write your name over it and they're obsessed with you. That's not how that works. But they get all these views. Okay? And they get all these people flocking to them. And then these people realize this is all bunk and it's stupid and it's not working. And so everybody starts to gravitate back toward the people that actually know their fucking shit. I've watched it. I watch it do this all the time. I watch it do it once a year. I watch it and I can tell when it's happening. It's funny. I can tell when it's happening. But if you guys are just getting into your practice, if you're just learning, if you're just starting, or if you feel stuck, go back to the basics. If you're just starting, I highly recommend taking some classes. I highly recommend learning, because traditionally it takes a year and 1 day before you are no longer technically a beginner. And that year and a day is not just you sitting on the couch every day, it's you actively learning from someone on a daily basis. In other words, maybe a weekly class and a whole bunch of reading material and so on. Like, you have to work at this shit. If you want a doctorate, you have to put in the work to get the fucking doctorate. Okay? Find someone that teaches mentorship classes that you trust. It doesn't have to be me either, because I am not the teacher for everybody, and I'm okay with that. There are a ton of people that teach classes. Now, I will say this. If you find someone and you're like, hey, let me look at their classes, and you go in and you go to their website and you're looking at their classes and so on, and you can't tell what that person practices, you can't tell how long they've been practicing, they have nothing at all on there about themselves, that is a red flag. That is the biggest red flag. If they practice everything, that is another big red flag, because that is not a thing. That is not a thing. I don't care who you are, where you come from, what color you are, what your hair is, what color socks you're in. I don't give a shit. You cannot physically know everything to practice everything. You can't. I'm going to stand on that with my whole chest, because in the real world, that's not how that works either. I know a lot of people, especially in New Orleans and in that area. I have a lot of friends down there that are voodoo and hoodoo priestesses, practitioners, etc. They have gone through all of the rites. They have gone through everything that they need to do to level up in that practice. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't go online and take an hour-long class and go, I know voodoo. You don't. You fucking don't. You don't read a book and go, I'm a voodoo priest. No, you're not. No, you're not. Because if you walk into an authentic voodoo shop and you try to pull that card, you might give one of them a heart attack from laughing. They're going to ask who your godmother is, who your godfather is, who taught you, where'd you learn? They want to know all those things. And if you say that you read a book, they might escort you out of the shop. If you tell them that they are the wrong color, they're definitely going to escort you out of the shop. If y'all have never been to New Orleans, I would recommend it be on your bucket list. Okay? I would recommend it be on your bucket list. And I would go to the Quarter. Okay? And first of all, go to the flea market on the canal. It's fucking epic. There's some great shit. Okay? Second, go to Voodoo Authentica, go to Marie Laveau's, and go to Reverend Zombies. Now, Reverend Zombies has changed. It used to be this gritty, dirty, awesome shop, and now it's this bright, shiny, clean new one because they moved, so it made me a little sad, but still go to Zombies, okay? But go to those 3 shops. I know there are a ton more in the Quarter, and I'm not pushing any one of those shops, okay? But those 3 shops have been there the longest. The first time I visited Marie Laveau's shop, I was 16. I'll be 48 in a couple weeks. I've been going to Marie Laveau's shop and visiting Marie Laveau's shop since I was fucking 16. Just because you go in a voodoo shop and just because you buy something from that voodoo shop does not mean you practice goddamn voodoo. I want you to listen to that again. Just because someone bought something from a voodoo shop, just because they bought a book from a voodoo shop does not mean they practice voodoo. There are people of all colors and all nationalities that are working in those shops that are initiated into voodoo, hoodoo, root work, etc. So when I see people on here that talk about that stuff in a really hardcore way, and I know there are haters sitting out there listening and going, oh, fucking bitch, I'm going to report her, blah, blah, blah. Report away, ho. I don't care. Because I'm so sick of it. I hate seeing certain practitioners on here that come on here and they say that they know everything. If someone tells you they know everything, you should fucking run as fast as you can. Just saying. What's the difference between voodoo and hoodoo? Let me try to explain, and I am not an expert, okay? I don't practice either one of them, so I'm not an expert. Voodoo is the traditional practice that came from Haiti, from the Caribbean, etc. Hoodoo is a mix of voodoo and root work. That's the best of my knowledge with those two, okay? I've studied it. I have books. I have a lot of friends that practice. Usually if I have someone that comes to me with a problem that has to do with voodoo or hoodoo or something like that, I will refer them to one of my friends that actually practices it, because I don't know. It's not my practice. And so I don't feel comfortable. Just like if I have somebody come to me that maybe they are from Mexico, they're from South America, Mexico especially, or they have something to do with Santeria. I don't practice that, so I don't know. But I have two good friends that are really, really good at it. In fact, I have one that's scary good at it. And so I will be like, hey. Just saying. So thanks for that question, Della. All of that was off of Della's question. How do I know if I'm in hexed or cursed? All right, Jacob. Are you able to welcome others into the closed practice of shamans? Me personally, for my particular practice, yes, but I don't. I was initiated into this practice when I was 8. I grew up with a dad who's Cherokee and Potawatomi, and his mom, her mom, the whole line of women, they were the healers, they were the seers. And it's really funny. So the person that I say is my dad. He married my mom when I was 3. He's been around since I was 2. He adopted me when I was 7 because he wanted me to wait until I was old enough to ask. And when I was old enough to ask, and I asked, he said, absolutely, kiddo, let's go. And we literally had the paperwork filed the next week. But he let it be my decision. Okay. But so I got adopted when I was 7. And when I was 8, I was at my grandma's one summer and she said, all right, it's time for you to start learning some stuff. You're a rice. It's time for you to start learning some stuff. So I started learning when I was 8. I didn't know it at the time. I just thought it was cool shit I did at my grandma's house. You know, go get me some dirt. Go get me some pine. I just thought it was cool, weird shit I did at my grandma's house, right? No. I started learning when I was 8. I've never stopped learning. In fact, my grandma told me last year when we moved her into assisted living that she was so proud of me for taking up the family line. I'm not even her blood grandkid, but none of my dad's, like my sister does a little bit because she kind of grew up the same way, but I have an older stepsister. She doesn't do shit with it. I'm the one that picked it up. I do not initiate other people into my practice. If I do, it is a single personal invitation. That's it. I made the mistake in 2021 of offering to help someone. I got taken advantage of in a severe way. Not only did this person come in and steal, because I was teaching classes in person. I was not teaching classes online. I was teaching classes in person. They stole every bit of my classes that I had written. They stole all kinds of shit from me, intellectual stuff and physical shit. And now they teach a class that is basically letting someone become a shaman in 8 weeks. That is not a thing. It's not. It's not a thing. I had a couple of people from her class come into my shop and want to buy certain things from my shop because they were told to come into my shop and buy them. First of all, this woman owns a shop and she told them to come into my shop. And I was very polite and I showed them exactly what they needed. And if she thinks that because they bought it in my shop, she can do something to me, like whatever, man. But I asked the lady like what it was for, because she was like, I'm looking for like this specific stone and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, what are you using it for? And she said, well, I've got to have it for my shaman class. Okay, immediately, your shaman class? So I was like, oh, really? I was like, who are you learning from? She tells me, I'm like, okay. She's like, yeah, I'm on week 5 of an 8-week class. And when I get done, I'll be a certified shaman. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. And I'm going to tell you guys another secret. You ready? The certified medium thing, that's not a thing either. It's not. You know what it is? It's somebody has a class and they took that class and they passed that class, or they paid all the money and they watched the videos and they got a little certificate that says they're a certified shaman or they're a certified medium. That's not how that works. So if somebody tells me that they're a certified shaman, that they're a certified medium, I have to blink a couple times and make sure my face doesn't say what I want to say. But that's not a thing. So unfortunately, after that, I don't teach those. I don't teach that anymore. And I won't. I have one person that is actively learning from me right now. And y'all don't need to know who that is. Y'all don't need to know who that is. The practice of being a shaman is usually handed down. It's handed down. In Native traditions, just Native American traditions, I can speak a little bit about the ones that I grew up with, okay? And then I can speak a little bit about the Celtic ones that I am related to, that I grew up with, okay? I can't speak for South American culture. I can't speak for Asian culture, Egyptian. I can't speak for any of that. Every single culture, every single practice has a shaman, and I put it in air quotes for a reason, because it's not always called a shaman. The term shaman is actually Siberian, and you can Google all of this, okay? It's actually Siberian. It's handed down. You know what I mean? It's handing down. Handed down. Now, if there's not someone else to take up that line, or if there is someone that shows great promise, then you can be brought into that practice. There are people that teach it. Like you can go to Brazil and learn from a shaman down there. But the thing is, expect to be there a hot minute. You're not going to be there 8 weeks. Like, expect to be there for a few years. Because being a shaman is not just knowing your herbs and knowing your crystals. That's a fucking practitioner. You cannot learn the things you need to learn in 8 fucking weeks to become a shaman. Like, it hurts my brain. It hurts my brain. Shaman means spirit walker. A shaman is somebody that has been taught and is attuned to being able to go to the upper realms, the lower realms, the middle realms, and everything in between. They learn how to make petitions for you. They learn how to ask for things. They learn how to make deals. They learn all of those things. They know what it is to do, to talk to beings in other realms, and to be able to do things in this realm. People think being a shaman is, I don't know what they think it is. Some guru with dreads that sits in front of a yurt. A shaman doesn't have to look a certain way. Even if if you were to get stuck, say 200 years ago, you got plopped right into the middle of a Cherokee tribe, it would take you a little bit. You would have to really watch to figure out who the medicine man was. And each different clan has their own. Because it's not like they wore some specific badge or they had a specific haircut. I'm not saying that some places don't, okay? But I'm just saying I can speak to what I know. So you can be brought into that practice. But it takes a lot to learn it. A lot. Everybody is getting really good with astral travel, astral projection, and so on and so forth. It's way more than that. So people that say that they're a shaman because they can astral travel, that's not a thing. Like, that's not a thing. There are initiation rites, and they're very tough. Like, you legit think you're losing your fucking mind. You think you're losing your ever-loving fucking brain. And when you come out of that, you can't go back into normal life, into normal worlds. But I have a certificate. Stop it, Gigi. So, I don't teach it anymore. I did start classes a long time ago, and I was going to teach it. Because I do personally, in my personal belief, and I've talked to a few other spiritual people that are considered to be shamans as well, that believe that we need more. We need more of them. I believe that we do need more. Just like I believe we need more practitioners. I believe we need more herbalists. I believe we need more crystal grid workers. I believe we need more of all of that. But it takes a lot to learn those things, just like getting a doctorate. Like, you have to have the basics. You have to have your bachelor's degree. You have to have a master's degree. Do you see what I'm saying? But people want to fuck it up for everybody else. And just really quickly make some fucking money off of somebody. And that's not why you become a shaman. That's not why you become a practitioner. You see what I'm saying? All right, Miss Patty. I saw a manifestation of a ball of swirling white mist at the foot of my bed a few years ago. I don't really feel comfortable answering that one, Miss Patty, because that's more of a personal thing. And there's no way to really tell who that was. There's a lot that would go into that. You know what I mean? There's a lot that would go into that. What was your other question here, Miss Patty? Oh, it's the same question. Okay. Yeah, that's something I would have to talk to you about. I already answered that one, but it didn't click on the thing. Okay. All right, let's go down here. Miss Suzanne Horn. How can I do a ritual to leave a bad situation? That's a whole long thing, girl. The first thing that I would say is, that's a whole long thing. You need to cleanse, do a full cleanse on yourself, do a reversal and a banishment. Okay. Do those things first. And don't do them on the same day. Okay. Do the cleanse, wait a couple of days, do the banishment. This is also why you guys need to know your basics, because there are certain moon phases that are better for all of those things. There are certain times of the day that are better for all those things. So this is why you need to know your basics. That is what is taught in basics, is what moon phase you do certain things in, what times of the day you do certain things in. Do you use rose quartz, or do you use, I don't know, quartz? Do you use carnelian? Do you see what I'm saying? So So yeah, some of these questions that are like really personal questions that are more reading type things, I'm not going to answer those, just so you guys know. I'm not going to answer those. Can you do a paganing instead of a wiccaning? Absolutely. Same thing. Same thing. Same shit, different day. Same thing. People call it all kinds of different things. So yeah. It really is sad how some people mess it up for the rest of us. It is. It is, Jacob. Like it really, really is. And unfortunately, so like when I was younger and naive, I never ever understood when I would see celebrities get upset, like that the paparazzi was following them around or whatever. I'm like, you chose that life. You chose that life. No. I am not saying I'm a celebrity, and I'm not saying I have the paparazzi following me around, but holy goddamn shit fuck. Have I had some stalkers? And also, people have no boundaries. No boundaries. Do you guys know that the shop phone rings all night long? I will get up in the morning and check it during business hours, and there's always at least 10 calls overnight. There are messages at least once a week of people messaging 5, 6, 7, 32. That's not a number I'm making up either. Times in one night. Why won't you answer me? Why won't you answer me? Bitch, it's 3 goddamn o'clock in the morning. My ass is asleep. Why aren't you? People have no boundaries. I've had my phone number get out. I've had people call me. I've had people text me all hours of the night. I have people send random shit. I've had people follow me. And I don't mean online. People have no boundaries. No boundaries. So it cracks me up when people are saying that they're teaching classes like shamanism in 8 weeks. Here's the thing. If it were really that easy to be a shaman in 8 weeks, every motherfucking person in the world would be a fucking shaman. That's like saying you can earn your doctorate in 6 weeks. Every fucking one of us better be a goddamn doctor. I want you to really think about that. Think about that. So the people that teach shit in 6 weeks, 8 weeks like that, those are the ones that have boundary issues. They have problems. Just saying. And they teach people to be that way. This same person that teaches this 8-week shaman class, I taught to dream walk. She was taught a little bit when she was younger. She does come from a native tribe. And she had no idea that that's what it was called. I was like, how did you come from this tribe and you don't know that's what that's called? But I started teaching her to dream walk because she had been doing it since she was a kid. And she firmly believes that it is perfectly okay to do it whenever to whoever. She also believes that it's perfectly okay, since she's a shaman now, that she can go into your body energetically and do whatever she wants. She can go in and fix your heart problem. She can go in and fix your ulcer, or she can go in and give you one. And that is not the way that works either. That is not the way that works either. It's not. It's not. So, it's not. And when she told me that she was doing this kind of stuff, I said, would it be okay if somebody did that to you? And her response was this: well, if it was in my highest good, ma'am, no. The answer is no. The answer is no. That's like you being in the hospital for a routine procedure. Okay. Let's say you're in the hospital. I don't know. Maybe you're having your throat scoped because you've got an ulcer. Okay. Routine. I don't know why you'd be in the hospital overnight, but let's just say you are. Okay. That'd be like the doctor coming in the middle of the night, putting you under anesthesia without you knowing, and then just randomly, you know what? I don't like your kneecaps. Let me fix those. I don't like your nose. Let me fix that. Let me dye your hair. I can't. I am going to answer Phoenix's other question, but I saw somebody ask a question. How long should Reiki certifications take? It kind of depends on how much time you have. When I started learning in 2013, I learned online from somebody and I devoured her classes. Excuse me. But I also worked at home and I could sit and listen to the classes, watch all the videos while I worked, right? So I devoured them. And I got my Reiki 1 attunement. It took me like 2 weeks to go through her classes, like 2 weeks. But that was literally like at least 2 hours a day, me watching the videos, reading, all that stuff. Okay. And then I got my attunement. And here's my advice to you guys, okay? Take Reiki 1 and get attuned. And then just pause for a couple of weeks, because that attunement's going to fuck you up. That attunement is going to fuck you up. Okay? Even if you've been getting Reiki online for every day for 10 years, it is going to fuck you up. Okay? Because an attunement is not you getting Reiki. An attunement is attuning everything in your body to be able to channel it. There's a huge difference. This is why you see people on TikTok that you don't feel fucking shit from. Because they've not been attuned. They're just saying that they're attuned because they see other people doing it. Give your body time to adjust to that attunement. Okay? Because if you try to go straight into Reiki 2 and get an attunement 2 weeks after that or whatever, it's going to fuck you up. It's going to fuck you up. Same thing with Reiki 3. Now, if you're going out like that, like 1, and then you're going to do 2, and then you're going to do 3, be at 2 for a while and get used to practicing on other, like on animals, on people, and so on, before you go to 3. And then when you go to 3, before you try to go to master teacher level, you need to make sure that you are really, really comfortable. It will 100% make you sick. Yes. It will be really comfortable with working on people. To be honest, before you ever get a master teacher certification in Reiki or a grandmaster certification, I would highly, highly recommend practicing on people multiple times a week for at least 6 months, because you need time to come into contact with energy wells, with energy vampires, with all the things. Okay. Now, usually around the first of the year, I do a Reiki symposium. I am not doing that this year. I did the last 2 years, and I would teach all 3 sections of Omni Reiki in one weekend class, right? If you can find somebody that does it like that you get all 3 attunements and certifications within one weekend, that's a little different, because you're kind of getting all of that at once. Now, expect to be sick for a couple weeks after that. Seriously. If you find a symposium where you're getting 1, 2, and 3 in one weekend, expect to be sick for a hot minute. Expect to be sick for a hot minute. But I stopped doing it because here's the thing. If you have anybody that says that they are a master teacher in Omni Reiki, in my type of warrior Reiki, they are not, because I have never taught anyone how to teach it, nor have I attuned anyone to be a master teacher. I've attuned only 46 people to be a level 3. That's it. That's it. So if someone says that I've attuned them, you need to see their certificates, because my certificates are very, very noticeable. They're very bougie, in other words. So if they say that they've learned from me, you want to see their certifications. If they say that they are a teacher in what I teach, you definitely want to see their certification because it does not exist. It does not exist. It does not exist. Yeah, it doesn't exist. So I'm also going to say this too, because just because we're on the topic of Reiki, I had somebody come into my live the other day. Level 3 versus master are two different things. 100%. Yes. I had somebody come into my live a couple of days ago, and they were asking me what a Reiki sire is. Let me explain what a Reiki sire is. It's not a term that's used very much. But a Reiki sire is just a master teacher. That's all it is. I'm technically one. Anybody that's an Usui Reiki master teacher is technically a Reiki sire. It just means that you have people that have learned under you. That's all it means. That's all it means. So yeah, but it's not a term that's used very much. So I don't know. Somebody came in and was asking about that, and I was like, wait, what? It just means that you can teach other people. That's it. That's all it means. It's just a fancy way of saying that you're a teacher. Phoenix asked, what are your favorite gifts that you have ever received or like to receive? Food. Food. Hands down, food. Charcuterie boards. Food. I'm serious. I am at the point in my life, I always felt like I would be successful if I could be like my dad. Because my dad is that person. Ever since I was like 25, 26. No, it was a little earlier than that. Ever since I had Brody. So, and he's 25. So yeah, ever since I had Brody, I have never been able to buy anything for my dad. Ever. Trying to get the man, and his birthday is on Yule, okay? So trying to get the man a Father's Day gift, and we didn't really do a lot of that stuff as I got older. Like we did when we were kids, but as I got older, we don't, like I don't really get him a Father's Day gift. I'll tell him Happy Father's Day, and, we might go have breakfast or something, but I always get him something for Yule. I get him something for his birthday and for Christmas. But trying to buy that man something is nerve-wracking because he has a lot of money. And so if he wants something, he just goes and buys it. And so I thought, you know what? That is success right there. That is my vision of success. If I want something, I can go buy it. Now, I'm not quite there, but I'm almost there. So like my dad has the kind of money that if they want, let's just say, well, here's a good example. My dad has always loved Subarus. And so he's always had a Jeep as well. They went and bought my stepmom a new Subaru. Okay. Not just a new Subaru. They special ordered a Subaru and paid for it outright. That is success. Okay. That is success. You just special ordered a fucking car and just paid for it outright. No financing, just paid for it. Okay. But like any little thing or anything at all, if he wants it, he just goes and buys it, right? Okay. So I'm at the point in my life that I have busted my fucking ass for a long time. And I have made smart business decisions to the point that if I want something, I can get it. I go get it. So I feel like I am mildly successful. I'm going to say that, mildly successful. I can't go buy a car outright and pay for it like that. I can't do that. So, yeah, I can't do that yet. I will, but I can't do that yet. So, like the gifts I get my dad now, I actually search all year because I travel all over the place, right? So I search all year. So last year, I got him blueprints to the Hoover Dam. Cause who doesn't need blueprints to the fucking Hoover Dam? So my dad's an engineer. He's a draftsman. And so, at the Hoover Dam, this is the only place you can buy them, but at the Hoover Dam, you can get blueprints, right? So I got him blueprints, he thought that was cool as shit. No, that was the year before. That was 2022 because 2023, I got him 2023. I got him. I was trying to see like how outrageous I could get with a gift. Okay. and still have my dad go, okay. So my dad's a master gunsmith, and he also, this is the guy that used to hand make clothing and then come to my school, come to elementary schools when I was a kid, dressed up in full, complete, authentic, like Cherokee, Potawatomi regalia, and teach kids how to make arrowheads and how to ground maize. Okay. We don't do anything small in my family. So last year for Christmas and for his birthday, I got him a bat skeleton. But to be honest, okay, it wasn't just a bat skeleton. It was in this crazy octagon. It was about this big, this crazy octagon shadow box. And it was a bat skeleton. It had all these dried flowers and crystals and stuff. It was really fucking cool. And to be honest, I was almost hoping my dad would say that he didn't want it. But he did. He hung it in his shop. I was like, oh. I did tell him, I was like, hey, when you pass away, can I have that back? And he started laughing. But he looked at it. He was like, that's unique. This year when I was in Colorado, so we used to go to Estes Park, once a week, I swear. So I grew up in Westminster, and so we used to go to Estes Park all the time. Okay, all the time. We used to camp up by there. We used to go there all the time. And so I got him one of the sweat wicking hoodies, like for hiking. You know what I'm talking about? They're real slick feeling, and they'll pull the sweat away from you. I got him one of those from Estes Park. And then I also got him a thermos that's this tall, and it's a shotgun shell. It's a big shotgun shell. I think he liked that more than the fucking hoodie, but he goes hiking. He goes on trips by himself all the time across the Southwest. And if y'all have never been out in the Southwest, it can be hot as a motherfucker in the day. And as soon as it gets dark, it's like 200 degrees below zero. So I wanted to get him something that I was being thoughtful. But yeah, he loved the thermos. I literally got it at a gas station. I saw it and I was like, oh my God, this is great. So I got him that. One year, it's been a couple years, but I ordered him these, I don't remember what company it's from, but I like to give gifts. I'm a gifter. I like to give gifts more than I like to get them. Everybody likes to get them. Don't think that, but I like to give them more. But I found this place online because I told you he's a master gunsmith, right? And they had these, I think they're about this big. They were rocks glasses, but they had melted the glass and they had a bullet in them, like encased in them. So it came out and stuff like that. It was a dead bullet. It's not something that it was active. It had no gunpowder in it. But so the glass itself had a bullet like encased in it. It was really cool. I got him a set of those. And then I also got him a metal mug that had it has a wide base because he goes camping a lot. And so it had something engraved on the side, and I had it engraved in Latin. So you can't just read it and know like, oh, your daughter got that for you. No, I had it engraved in Latin. But the whole handle is, what was it? I want to say it was a 50 caliber shell. But yeah, so the whole handle was that. So yeah, he still uses those. But yeah, he still uses those. Yeah, he still uses those. Oh, I also may have got him a flask that was like a M16 magazine. I don't want to say it like all together because I don't want to get flagged, but it was just plastic, but it was fucking great. I had to get it for him. He thought it was hilarious. But yeah, my favorite gift to get is food. It's food. Yeah. I am a big foodie. When I gave my dad the blueprints for the Hoover Dam, I also gave him a Kachina doll, a pretty good size one, about this big. Dude, they're so expensive. And they're so great. I have like 5. Every time I go across the Southwest, I buy one. But anyway, I gave my dad a Kachina doll as well. And he was like, oh my God, I haven't seen a Kachina in a long time. And I was like, this is because you wouldn't buy me one as a kid. And I thought my stepmom was going to fall over. I said, I always wanted a Kachina doll when I was a kid, and y'all would never let me have one. So this is for you. And so like, yeah, he almost fell over. Like he laughed really hard. But yeah, Ooh, this is a good question. And I'm not going to say your name, okay? Is my schizophrenia actually a gift? It depends who you ask. In my personal opinion, with the research I've done, and I'm trying to think of what, I don't remember if I saw this on TV or on YouTube, but there was actually a neurologist that studied schizophrenia. He studied epilepsy. He studied bipolar disorder. He studied autism. But he really focused on schizophrenia because, so he's a neurologist, right? And he traveled all over the world looking at different tribes and how they interact with mental health. Okay. And when I say tribes, I mean actual, like, they still live like a tribe. It's not a modernized country. It's not a modernized village, etc. They still live in a tribal type form. Okay. He looked at how they handle mental health. Okay. So in the US and in most westernized countries, any type of mental health, anything it's demonized. It's demonized. Epilepsy is not really a mental health thing. It's actually a physical issue with your brain. It's demonized. There's a stigmata around it. If you tell someone you have epilepsy, then the first thing they say is, do I stick something in your mouth? Don't do that. Okay, by the way, don't do that. Don't ever put something in an epileptic's mouth. Okay, turn them on their side. Make sure they can't choke themselves. They're never going to swallow their tongue. It's impossible. Okay. And then the second thing they ask me is, well, how can you drive? It's demonized. Okay. Most tribal practices, most cultural practices, if someone shows epilepsy, they're usually trained as a seer, as an oracle. All of the oracles at Delphi had epilepsy. They kept them fucked up on lotus. They burnt blue lotus in the temple continually. So all they would do is have visions, and eventually they went into status epilepticus and they died. So it's a shitty way to live and a shitty way to die, but they were very revered and they were taken care of and so on and so forth. Yes, you can bite your tongue. But most people, most practices, most tribes, etc. If someone showed something like schizophrenia, if they showed some kind of mental health aspect, then they were taken to the elders, and usually they were trained in how to handle that and how to utilize it. They were not given 950 types of pills, which usually makes all this other shit worse. Now, I'm not saying that modern medicine does not have a place in mental health, because it does, okay? Mental health is something very, very serious, and I want you guys to take it as such. But what he found was night and day different. And he actually had a young man that he was working with in his practice that was schizophrenic. And he asked the family, like, hey, this kid had been in an institution for a while. And I want to say he was like 18, 19 years old. And so he'd been in an institution for a while. And he asked the family if they would allow him, and they could accompany him to go down to South America. And he wanted this kid to learn with some elders there in a tribe that he had become friends with. So he took the kid down there. And while the kid lived there for like 2 or 3 years, I think, this kid did phenomenal. He did fantastic. He wasn't on any kind of medications. He was controlling all of his symptoms, and he had something useful he was doing every day, and he got tremendously better. And then he came home, and he no longer had that support system there. And it set him up for failure, and he ended up back in the institution. So yeah, it all depends on who you ask. In my opinion, yes, it is. In my opinion, any type of neurodivergent aspect of the brain, I personally feel like that's human evolution. Do you guys know, okay, ready for some sciencey nerd shit? Do you guys know that there was a study that was done? People were trying to prove, and I don't remember what medical college it was that did this, but people were trying to prove that these psychic gifts and abilities were not the norm. Okay, they were trying to prove that, like, mediumship and empathy, being empathic, like all that stuff, that was like a mutation. You know what they proved instead? They proved that that was actually human evolution, and that the Roman Empire, the Holy Roman Empire, had systematically found that in people and snuffed it out. And they altered the course of human history over it. They altered the course of human DNA over their systematic eradication of anybody that was neurodivergent. So think of where we would be if the Holy Roman Empire either had never existed or had never done that. Let's just say they had never done that. Think of where the human race would be. If all of these gifts and abilities are coming out now, if the rise of neurodivergent people, I mean, think about it, since what, 2015, 2016, the rise in like autism and epilepsy and ADHD and all of these neurodivergent aspects has gone through the roof. Think about it. We would have a lot of people with gifts. We would have a lot of people with gifts. Yeah. Think about it. Think about it. So in my opinion, yes, but it's also not something that I would ignore and not make sure that you are okay and that you are safe. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? All right. Jamie, this is kind of a loaded question, and I don't really do tattoo suggestions, but manifestation tips for abundance. And I also just saw somebody talk about a money bowl and wanted to know how to do that. I will do a video on that for you, because that is one thing that I do every New Year's is make a new money bowl. So I will do a video on that, but manifestation tips, a money bowl. Like a money bowl. So what a money bowl is literally a bowl, a jar, a cup, whatever. It doesn't have to be a jar. Thank you for that. Whatever it is that you have that you want to put money in, and you set it by your door. Like, obviously not like right next to your door, but whatever you have, the closest to your door, you can get it. The closest to your door, you can get it. Okay? It's really easy. That's literally what you do. And then you go find some change. You find a few dollar bills, a $5 bill, whatever. Every time you have change in your pocket, every time you have a dollar bill or something, you throw it in there. You throw it in there. Happy New Year to those of you guys on the coast. I love that I said I was only going to be on for like an hour, and I've been on for 2 hours doing this. I've been on for 2 hours doing this. All right, let's see here. I'm going to turn my tickets off. So that way, or tickets, or you know what I mean, like questions. So let me get these last few answers. All right, let's see here. What's a ritual bath, cleansing, and how to perform one? That's also probably something that needs a video. A ritual bath or cleansing can literally be you simply standing in the shower and letting the water wash over you. But traditionally, a ritual bath requires an herbal concoction. It requires a specific way of washing yourself. It requires, when I do mine, I get really, really over the top with it. I'm not going to lie. Like, I have specific kind of music playing. I have candles. I have incense. And I don't mean just like a candlelit bubble bath. Like, I have certain kinds of incense. I have a certain kind of candle that I'm burning. I usually have a certain kind of like bath bomb that I use, and not the ones from like Walmart. It's one that I have special ordered for myself from a practitioner. And then I add herbs. Yeah, it's a lot. I'm really over the top with it. Y'all have no idea. I'm really over the top with it. Really over the top with it. So, but yeah, that I probably need to do a video. Ooh, this is a great one. Let me see if I pronounce your name right. Is it Myra? Mirrya? It's not Myra, is it? I'm so sorry. I myrtleized your name. I'm so sorry. Listen to this question. Y'all ready? This is a great question. Dude, you get so many brownie points for this. Okay. I've been feeling called to look into honoring ancestors and communication or receiving signs in spirit form. My question is, how do you set the right boundaries? Because I don't live alone and I have kids. Dude, that is a fucking phenomenal question. Can I do a video? Can I do a video on this for you? Because that might be one of the best fucking questions. That might be one of the best fucking questions. That is an awesome question. So let me say this. Let me ease your mind really quickly. Okay. I want you guys to just kind of look around your house right now. Okay. Do you have a photo or a picture of somebody that is in your family that's passed away? Do you have that? Did you grow up with that? Did you grow up with photos of people that have passed away? Do you have something that someone gave you that they are no longer here, that you wear when you miss them? Like a ring from your mother, or your dad's sweatshirt, or a stocking hat from your grandpa. Do you have something like that? Do you have a recipe or a holiday tradition that you learned from somebody who's no longer here? Do you have that? If you answered yes to any one of those things, you're already doing ancestor worship. You are already doing ancestor worship. You are taught ancestor worship. It does not matter where your family comes from. You are taught ancestor worship from the time you are fucking born. You are. If you have a shelf in your house that's just for grandma, has a bunch of pictures of her, that's an ancestor altar. If you have a shelf that's just for family, let's say you have like a mantle and you have all these old photos of grandparents and great grandparents and all this stuff, that is an ancestor altar. If you have a shelf that has maybe your grandma got you a little jewelry dish, and maybe one year she got you this pretty vase, and you have all these little trinkets and things that she bought you and now she's gone, and so you have them all displayed, that is an ancestor altar. You're already doing it. You're already doing it. You're already doing it. You're already doing it. It is a rich part of every fucking life. Everybody in the United States does this. Now, I can't speak for anywhere else, cannot live anywhere else, but everybody in the United States does this. In fact, I would bet pretty much everybody everywhere does this. Just saying. Just saying. You always are going to have ancestors around you. Now, putting boundaries and stuff, that is definitely something I want to do a video on. You are always going to have ancestors around you. The good are by far going to outweigh the bad, but every single one of us has good and bad ancestors. Okay? You cannot really and truly think that if you had an ancestor that was a slave owner, that they're cool with all of the things going. You see what I'm saying? Like, you see what I'm saying? If you have an ancestor that was really brutal and did a lot of like mutilating and things like that, that's really not someone you want hanging around either, is it? They probably do not have good intents for you either. There are ways to not invite those into your house. And one of the main ways is don't have their picture up. Don't have their picture up. The ones that you have their photos up, the ones that you have items of theirs. Now, I'm not saying throw away all the shit, okay? Maybe just put it in a box and put it up, okay? But if you're displaying it, you're actively inviting them into your house. You are actively inviting them into your space. So if you have an ancestor that you know was a piece of shit, they were a piece of shit, okay? You know, they abused everybody, they beat their kids, they beat their wife, whatever. Maybe don't honor them. Maybe don't have a whole altar with their photos and shit all over it. Do you see what I'm saying? Maybe don't do that. Okay. But there are ways to set boundaries and so on. But let me just say, you've been doing it your whole life. And you've already been setting boundaries your whole life. Okay. Somebody just asked something. Hang on a minute here. How does it work if you're adopted? So I can kind of speak to that because I was adopted into a different family. And I did not know a lot about my biological family. Now, if you don't know anything about your biological family, but you do know about your adopted family, chances are that because you know a lot about your adopted family and because you were taught about that side of the family and you have photos of them in your house, they do become your ancestors because you were adopted into that family. They love you just like you were one of theirs, okay? Does it mean that there's going to be every ancestor in that family line that agrees with that? No, because there's always going to be one dick bag in that whole group. But if you were welcomed into that family and you were adopted into that family, those are your ancestors. They are. You are going to have ancestors on your biological family side as well. That I highly would recommend doing ancestry.com. Do spit in the little tube and send it off because it will show you your family tree. It will help you build that. It is highly, if y'all are really, really wanting to figure out where you come from and all that stuff, usually around the holidays, every holiday, Ancestry has a deal. And it's $40, $50, $60, whatever. And I think that to have the membership where you can add to your family tree and shit, I think it's like $40 a month. While you're learning and you're trying to figure out where you come from, your ancestors, etc., it's worth that $40. It is. It is. I promise you. You spend $40 on stupid shit all month. Take a couple of months and spend $40 and actually utilize the service. Build your family tree. Okay? It's worth it, especially if you're trying to figure out where you come from. I'm going to leave that question up because that is a really, really good question. Oh my God, that's such a good question. Let's see here. Phoenix, there's a class on my page that's Oracle Cards 101. And I go over all of that in there. I don't know. I don't remember if you're in my classes or not, but I go over all of that in there. So her question was, Happy New Year, Miss Kathy. Her question was, how can you get into your gifts and abilities better and boost your divination skills? It kind of differs for every person, but that's a whole video on its own. That's a whole video on its own. That's a whole big long video on its own. How can one find out who your deities are? What I would advise is talking to someone who does deity reads. But I will say this, you can kind of figure it out on your own. All you got to do is take a couple of weeks and pay really close attention to everything going on around you. Are you seeing certain flowers over and over, like purple irises or white roses? Are you seeing specific animals repeatedly where you shouldn't see this animal? Maybe you're seeing foxes everywhere and you don't live in a place where there are foxes. But not only are you seeing them like on TV, and then you get a piece of mail that has a fox on it, and then you go to the grocery store and there's a brand new type of cereal with a fox on it. You see what I'm saying? Are you seeing those things over and over and over? Is there a certain color that you've been drawn to? So you can put all of that in Google and put deity. Don't put God or goddess. Put deity associated with white roses, foxes, and purple. And it'll come up with a few, okay? It'll come up with different ones. And take your time. Don't just the first one go, that's it. Take your time. Read through and look what else that god or goddess is associated with. look through all of them. You're going to find one that as soon as you look at it and you read all of the stuff that they're associated with, you're going to have this crazy feeling in your gut and you're going to be like, holy fuck balls. It'll hit you, I promise. Okay. Now, I do want to give you guys a little note of caution, because depending on where you live, you are going to see eagles, hawks, ravens, or crows all the fucking time. I'm not saying they're not associated with the deity, but you're going to, like here in Oklahoma, we have so many fucking hawks. It's not even funny. We also have so many fucking ravens and crows. It's not even funny. And we have eagles. We have bald eagles here. So I see them all the time on a daily basis, on a daily basis. So before I was like, oh, that hawk, that's got to be Zeus. I made sure to find out what other things Zeus was associated with. Same thing like with Odin. I see ravens all the time. Ravens mate for life. They mate in pairs for life. Thank you, Miss Kathy. So before I thought, oh my God, that's Zeus, I found out all the other things that deity is associated with. So does that make sense? So yeah. Well, that is all my questions. All the questions that you guys sent in. I have been talking for 2 hours straight. 2 hours and 15 minutes straight. And even though it's not New Year's here where I am yet, I am going to get off here and I'm going to chug some water because my throat is dry. So yeah, my throat is dry. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I am moving my live tomorrow night. So if those of you guys that didn't catch that at the beginning, I will send you an email. Don't stress about it. I will send you an email. But I need an evening off. So I love you guys. I will see you tomorrow for cord cuttings. If you did not get a cord cutting today, there's still a few spaces. And if you're one of the ones that I was about to do when my phone died, y'all will be first in the morning, okay? Y'all will be first in the morning, I promise, okay? I will see you guys next year. I can say that because technically it's still 2024 where I'm at. But Happy New Year, guys. I love the shit out of you. I will see you next year.